I think she gets to write whatever book she wants. Like, she doesn't owe anybody anything.
100%.
And
agreed.
Don't get me wrong. Do I wish she had made different choices during RFK's confirmation? Sure. But here's the thing. How many women have like prostrated and flayed themselves in front of Congress to no avail?
Right.
May I remind everyone of the Brett Kavanaugh hearings?
Right.
Like, I am not convinced that her releasing the full text history between her and this guy, her saying we met in this hotel or we did this or we did that, her humiliating herself for the public good would have led to any meaningful outcome, because that is not what we have seen over and over and over again.
Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to Twigg and Jenkins. We're back post-Thanksgiving, pre-holiday spirit. Do you have your Christmas music playing yet is the question, Twigg.
I am not a Christmas girly in that way necessarily, though I will say I was in Paris right before Thanksgiving.
Incredible.
And like they were like the lights, the decorations, the Christmas music everywhere. It did sort of get me going. So I'm just not like a Christmas music person, but I actually am. And now that like I'm somewhere where it gets cold again, which has actually not been, I'm not coping super well, to be perfectly honest.
Twigg had a meltdown, there was a DC snow, first time in 8 years that we've had snow in December in Washington,
You're welcome,
DC.
everybody.
Carrie Twigg brought the Ohio snow spirit to Washington. And you had a slight meltdown.
I live a little bit of a meltdown. I like opened the blinds to my bedroom and literally gasped.
Oh,
literally gasped. It was tricky. Yeah.
Opposite effect in the Jenkins household. My children exclaimed. They started doing a dance. They thought that school was going to be closed. It was a whole thing.
They were wrong.
They were very wrong. School is not closed. But we're here. And, look, Christmas music, I'm going to make you... Actually, I already have a Christmas playlist for you, Carrie Twigg. This will get you in the Christmas spirit.
Oh, my God.
It's not shitty Christmas music. It's like, Donny Hathaway, Otis Redding.
Okay. All right.
We also got a little Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, Tyler, the Creator does Christmas music?
He did the Grinch. Pharrell, because Pharrell was executive producer of that new Grinch movie, the animated movie with Benedict Cumberbatch.
I see.
Tyler, the Creator, did 2 songs on that album. They're both fucking phenomenal.
Okay.
So I'm gonna send you, I agree with you. Like Bing Crosby Christmas shit.
Yeah, no.
Stevie Wonder Christmas shit.
Okay.
Otis Redding Christmas shit. It's incredible.
Listen.
It's kind of incredible. We're full on. We're getting our tree. We're getting our tree tonight.
I have a little mini tree. Did you see it downstairs?
I
have like a little mini tree. I'll put it right here for our next recording.
Let's go. Yeah. Like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I could theoretically have a big Christmas tree space-wise, but it's sort of like, it's a lot.
It's a lot. You've got the ceilings.
I do.
For a tall tree.
Yeah, but not the will.
But not the will. Sounds about right. Where do we start? I feel like we have to start. We missed all of the Epstein shit. We missed all of it. Did we even discuss it?
No.
One time on this podcast?
No, we've not.
We've not discussed it. And here's the thing. I don't know that I have much to say about it. I feel like we have to talk about it just in the annals of history. This is a thing that actually happened. We've brushed past it.
Well, I think that's the thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that we have devolved to such a state where something as insidious as Jeffrey Epstein and his sex island and like his kind of industrial torture of adolescent girls.
Yeah.
And we're just sort of like, meh. Like there's so much is in chaos. So much is aflame.
Yeah.
That like... And our attention spans and our tolerance of scandal is so heightened that it's like...
Great point. What is a scandal these days? I guess
honestly.
Is the question. Yeah. Yeah.
Like bring back shame,
We've been so desensitized. Every scandal is normalized within 24 hours. Like there's nothing that could happen that I think people would not eventually get over.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, I mean, not to give Trump his flowers or whatever, but a lot of it is Trump. Like there's just an emoji shrug at anything and everything. I mean, there were repercussions. Larry Summers lost his job, right? Well, there were some other people, I think, in the mix.
Like voluntarily stepped down.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was Kathy Rumler? Brutal. She once sent me the shittiest email when we were working in the White House. Because I think I misspelled her name. And like she sent back this like CC all.
Oh, come on.
Like how, like if I can't bother to get her name correct, how could I bother to like get any of my work?
Wow.
I mean, I can't remember exactly.
So unnecessary.
But it was so egoistic and unnecessary and like fragile. Darling, baby, oh my God, you spelled my name with a C instead of a K. And like, my name gets spelled wrong all the time.
Yeah.
And I actually get that it can be annoying, but it's also, it doesn't matter.
No one cares.
Like,
yeah.
it be a grown up. Sometimes your name gets spelled wrong. Like, she sent me the shittiest email. So I've hated her anyway ever since then. But really hilarious watching her lick the boots of Jeffrey Epstein in her emails.
I missed this. What did she say?
Just like, she was getting his advice on which job to take. By the way, this is like somebody who's in the White House counsel's office in the Obama
She was
administration.
not only that, she was kind of beloved. She was a badass. She wore like $5,000 shoes every day. She had quite a like Devil Wears Prada vibe to her when she'd walk through the West Wing. She's just a smart, badass lawyer. But she had this reputation of being like a hard ass, as evidenced by calling you out for
my first interaction with her,
misspelling her name. I would be in meetings with her, and I was always kind of impressed just because she didn't seem to be. At the time, there were very few women in the West Wing that had as much kind of chutzpah as Kathy Rumler. You know,
yeah, I love chutzpah.
Yeah.
But not pettiness, really.
No.
Unless it's funny.
No.
But anyway, so she I do love funny pettiness. Like pettiness for comedy. Obviously delicious.
Yes.
So she was on a bunch of emails with her, between her and Jeffrey Epstein got leaked, where it was she was just like, when are you going to be in New York?
Wow.
And like, she's deciding between jobs. She's like, this job is going to give me a $2 million signing bonus, but like this one, I always love to see you when you're in New York. Like, it just really kind of
wow,
gross.
That's pretty gross. Well, R.I.P. Kathy. We never loved you, but R.I.P.
Yeah, I didn't anyway. But you know, whatever.
But the Trump of it all, no one cared. There's a huge push for Democrats to, get our new congresswoman sworn in so that we can release these files. The files were released, and then it was a big emoji shrug, and we moved on to the next thing.
I think there is. So here's the thing. One of the things that we constantly sort of chit chat about, and it having been out of DC now for almost I spent like a month on the road.
Yeah.
And it is always important to do for anyone who works in like the chattering class to get out of Dodge, because so much of what dominates conversation in these circles, like no one is paying any attention to whatsoever, right? And so I think it's really easy to feel as though these things are really big deals when they're just not penetrating, right? And they're not necessarily clashing with cultural values. I mean, if you watch the popular shows and the popular cultural sort of mile markers of the day, whether it's wrestling or UFC or Landman or like any of NCIS, like any of the top sort of shows, like we're not actually running afoul of the plots of like the broad strokes kind of meta values of the country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think it can be really interesting. And I think that like DC and the media class, of which we're like sort of a part, really show their ass sometimes as it relates to how we talk about these things, because we have yet to figure out how to talk about Donald Trump in a way that is like constructive, grounded, meaningful, leads to some sort of action.
Right.
And yet you compare it to like the breathlessness with which the Olivia Nuzzi thing is being covered in DC and New York, which no one cares about. Like literally no one.
If you're a journalist, you care about it.
Of course.
Yeah.
But like no one off that particular algo gives us like has any idea who she even is.
Right. That's true. That's a very good point. You started reading this book.
I'm like in the minority opinion. I really like it.
You really like the book?
I really like it. I think it's like beautifully written. I think it's really interesting. Her sort of insights around Donald Trump. She's been one of my favorite political writers for a long time in the way that she's not a political writer. She's sort of like this atmospheric observer. And I think that's at play in the book. Now, the book has a lot of like artsy, poetic, circular structure to it, which I can understand if that's a syntax that people can't get down with. They don't like it. But I'm really liking
meaning
it.
The
I really
chronology of everything that took place, or meaning like
sort of, it's not really that chronological of a book. You sort of go in between the first term of Donald Trump, the second term, the years in between. You talk about her life. She's sort of writing this book in exile in California. She's making observations about the natural world. She's making really loose analogies between phenomena in the natural world and what's unfolding in Donald Trump, but she's not using it in a typical structure of like, Donald Trump is like this thing. She's just sort of making observations about black holes. And then the next paragraph or the next section of the book will be this anecdote about how he was able to distort everyone around him in the White House. And so to me, I love that. I think there's a real creativity and artistic thrust behind it. And so I'm enjoying it, but it is not the linear kind of style that I think a lot of people who are expecting a political tell-all.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that the criticism has been that it has sort of been marketed, or at the very least, the interest has been piqued as this being a tell-all, and it's not. It's not a tell-all.
Not really. I mean, I think if you're willing to take a lot of subtlety as confirmation of things.
Sure.
She's very subtle in the book. But I think if you are willing to, again, be less literal, then it's actually quite a damning tell-all in many respects. But I actually just read 107 Days, 107. I just read 107 Days, and then I read this book. And like, you cannot have more of a contrast in political tell-alls between 107 Days and American Canto.
Right.
Really interesting exercise in like the way we in political storytelling, actually comparing and contrasting the two books. Like Kamala couldn't have been more literal.
Yeah.
You know.
She's a very literal person.
Literal, chronological, ordered, precise, specific, pointed, one might say.
She had a lot of I don't know if scores to settle is the best way to put it.
That's 100% what happened in that book.
But she had a lot of like tea to spill, and she had a lot of blame to go around. Our guy Josh Shapiro, I'm not sure if you saw his response this past week, calling all of what Kamala wrote as bullshit, which is just great. I mean, yeah, it's been
he's getting some interesting press the last few days.
He's been getting some interesting press, and I like that. Weirdly, I kind of like that we're mixing it up as Democrats. I like that we have little petty squabbles. I like that people disagree on, who said what and who said what when. And we need to be just a little bit more honest and salacious and provocative, and and I think that, speaking of provocative, I think the thing that the nuzzy of it all has been sort of the revealing of the text messages and the revealing of like how sexual all of this stuff was. And then, to your point, the book itself was very subtle.
It's very subtle.
So if the book was like the text messages, I think perhaps the journalist class would not be shitting on it so much, because there has been a general like, this book sucks vibe.
Yeah, totally. And I think that is personal.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a real personal attack.
Agreed.
I think she gets to write whatever book she wants. Like, she doesn't owe anybody anything.
100%.
And
agreed.
Don't get me wrong. Do I wish she had made different choices during RFK's confirmation? Sure. But here's the thing. How many women have like prostrated and flayed themselves in front of Congress to no avail?
Right.
May I remind everyone of the Brett Kavanaugh hearings?
Right.
Like, I am not convinced that her releasing the full text history between her and this guy, her saying we met in this hotel or we did this or we did that, her humiliating herself for the public good would have led to any meaningful outcome, because that is not what we have seen over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think it's really kind of unfair, if not disingenuous, for people to demand that she do something that we have shown over and over and over again has almost no impact on political outcomes. Whether it's people telling their abortion story, their sexual assault story, their the details of their personal sexual history and life, doesn't seem to matter to senators who are willing to confirm someone based on a totally different schema.
Agreed.
And so instead of logic. And so I actually think that what the venom that is directed at her is like the sort of latest in a gendered witch hunt around personal conduct, that if she were a man, she would not be held to. And like what her ex is doing with his Substack, and just like, I think is so gross. And the fact that like, that is not the place where venom is being directed.
I missed that completely.
Oh my God.
I haven't even.
He is like, I mean, talk about a like burn it down vendetta. Like, he is so mad at her.
Yeah.
He clearly is like rejecting with the like rage of a cuckold. Like, he is so furious. And so he's releasing all these things about her sexual history, about other relationships she supposedly had. I mean, it's for subscribers, by the way. He insinuated that she knew who tried to assassinate Donald Trump and would reveal it behind a paywall. Like, he's just like
the man
off
on
one. Yeah. And I don't know either of these people, but I think it's just such a fascinating thing that the media and political class's attention has been so galvanized around the supposed scandal of Olivia.
Yeah.
When Donald Trump like is spared, when so many of these men are spared, and these powerful other elites from other circles are spared meaningful scrutiny for crimes that are actually like both illegal and against any sort of moral or political code. Olivia Nuzzi is not the first person to have an affair.
She isn't. And, I don't know. I think that it's been just messy. And I think DC loves mess. DC loves gossip. DC loves
so do I. Yeah.
Scandals. It's been a moment. This is a provocative mess. But at the same time, like, she's getting glowing features. She's getting these like beautiful, she's got a vibe to her. She clearly has an aura and has wanted this kind of attention. I think that there have been a couple of podcasts that have pointed out, I think Pablo's pod pointed out that she like was an aspiring music star. I'm not sure if you've seen this video.
I was like a teenager.
No, I know,
like
but I'm just saying that like,
yeah.
This is also someone who's going for it too, right? This is someone who's unapologetically going for it, going for fame, going for clicks and eyeballs, and God bless her for it. I mean, this is what there's nothing wrong with going for it. I think I'm not going to read the book. I don't care. Like, I honestly, I think she's a phenomenal writer. I think she has been one of my favorite political writers the past like 10 years. I think whenever she drops something, it would be fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And I want to read more of that. I don't really care about her life.
Sure. I will say there is a lot of that in the book, to its credit, but don't read things you don't care about. But I do think it's one of the things both in 107 Days and
which I've also not
in
read,
American Conto.
I also don't really care about Kamala's tell-all, which is,
I think if you're trying to understand political culture, I yell at people all the time, and I'm just like, if you want to understand political culture in America and you've never watched Monday Night Raw or WrestleMania, or you've never watched Yellowstone, or you've never watched Landman, you're not taking your job seriously.
True.
And I think if you aren't reading what's being written on the left, like there are elements of kind of prosody that you're not going to understand either.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the main reason why I read 107 Days, is like, how is one of the most powerful people in the party, how is she metabolized?
Good point.
What happened and what kind of is her narrative that she's pushing forward.
Right.
Now, on a micro level, there's these two things that I think I've heard a lot of people reacting to that exist in both 107 and American Canto. And like, we all know that we have ingrained sexism, you know, just by virtue of growing up in a sexist culture. But it's like, Kamala does this really interesting thing where she like takes a ton of credit for really good stuff and she assigns blame for really bad stuff. And it, to me, comes off as really unlikable. And then Olivia includes a lot of anecdotes about other people telling her how beautiful she is and how attractive she is and how hot she is, both of which are true, right? Like, Kamala's very smart. I'm sure she has a ton of great ideas. And I'm sure that other people did do things that were annoying or wrong or incorrect. Olivia is objectively attractive, if that's your type of thing.
If that's your thing, pass for me. But, you know, if that's your vibe.
If that's your vibe. Yeah. Historically, Americans have found tall blondes attractive. So, but both of those things are things that we're not, like, that make women really unlikable.
Yeah.
Right? That like we sort of are like, ooh, don't tell people how pretty you are, even if it's true.
Right.
Even if people tell you you're pretty and beautiful every single day, even if you are objectively pretty. If I were just like, how don't you think I'm so pretty? See, I couldn't even do it without like without like mockingly.
But I feel like that goes both ways though too. Like, if a guy talked about how good looking he is, I don't know that that's attractive either. I feel like people generally like modesty when it comes, especially when people are objectively beautiful. No one wants to hear you. No one wants to know. It's like the street song. It's like, she's fit, but she knows it. Like, if you're fit and you know it, it's not as attractive. You know what I mean?
Sure. I think we allow men a lot more leeway as it relates to like taking credit for good ideas, though. I think it doesn't even like bump up against us.
Yeah.
So there were both these little things. It's like I had to be like, that doesn't make her unlikable. Thinking she's pretty doesn't mean that she's not likable. Or like Kamala taking credit for work that she legitimately did does not make her unlikable.
Right.
But it was fascinating. That's just a little bit about me, I guess.
Oh, I love that. Speaking of attractive people, this is going to be a really great segue.
I love this.
We also missed, on our little brief Thanksgiving hiatus, Donald Trump and Zohran Mamdani.
Habibi.
The absolute love fest. The unexpected love fest. And I think that the general take, there's been obviously a lot of takes from both the left and the right, was that Trump just likes attractive people. Like, Trump just likes stars. Like, that's pretty much what it comes down to. It's like policy schmolicy. Like, this guy's popular. He's good looking. He's charismatic. And this is my guy. I like this guy.
That is not a controversial. That is like not that is 100% true.
I think that's the take. That's clearly the take. But in the lead up to, let's just talk about the contours of what was taking place. You had the Democratic Party. You had the leadership of the Democratic Party who had refused to endorse.
So embarrassing, these guys.
Talking about how this guy is going to destroy New York City. Talking about how this guy is like the destruction of name of value, capitalism, yada, yada, yada. And the first question Donald Trump is asked in the Oval Office is, what do you think? How do you think Zohran's going to do in New York City? And Trump goes, I think he's going to do a great job.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do a great job. So Donald Trump endorsed Zohran Mamdani before Chuck Schumer and Cory Booker did. Like, this is the fate. This is the fate of the Democratic Party. And by the way, I will also say, not just in my algo, but in other people's algos, like, I was texting with friends, Trump won that day. Like, to millions of young people, he seemed reasonable. To millions of young people, Donald Trump ended up seeming like, you know what? he's not that bad of a guy.
Yeah.
You know? And
this is the thing about Trump over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, our messaging against him, our framing of him doesn't work.
Yeah.
If we had, and don't get me wrong, hindsight 2020, but even today, if we were just like, Donald Trump is a great guy, good enough guy. He's just incompetent. He's just incompetent, guys. Like, this is too serious of a job.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's likable. He's you know, Donald Trump's a great time. You don't want your good time buddy to like run your finances,
right,
or to run your company. Like, let's be serious.
Right.
Because he comes off as so reasonable. And the right is really good at the politics of personality. We saw JD Vance do it in the VP debate, right? We constantly expect them to behave like monsters because we think of them as monsters. And they're just like people, right? And so then they can confound all sorts of expectation. It's like when Charlie Kirk would be exceedingly polite.
Yep.
Right? And he would throw everyone off balance and be like, oh, I actually maybe like that guy. Donald Trump invites Bill Maher to the White House, and Bill Maher comes back and parrots it falls for it. Because he's expecting Donald Trump to be, and I'm just trying to fire you up, to be a monster. And Donald Trump is, by all accounts, like a very likable, fun dude. And we miss that over and over again. And to Zohran's credit, I have heard through the grapevine that he really prepped for that meeting.
Yeah.
Like, he went into it like, he fully scenario planned. They were very clear about how they wanted to be. He was clearly exceedingly present to the moment. He was clear-eyed. He was engaged. He understood the opportunity, and that only comes from preparation.
Yes.
Right? And so, again, him showing the savviness of like, okay, how do I engage with this as though it's a live moment?
Yeah.
And so he also won that day.
He won the day. Oh, yeah. Very good point. Zohran clearly won the day, but Trump also won the day.
They both did. Absolutely. They both came. That was like a win-win scenario.
It was a win-win scenario.
The only people who lost on that day are Democratic congressional leadership.
And I think that Republicans kind of lost as well. I think JD Vance lost.
Oh my God. The memery of JD Vance like crying himself to sleep that night over Zohran.
Yeah. It was an incredible thing to watch. Brings up a very good point, which is, I think there have been very few Democrats who know how to deal with this guy. And for context, so Trump and Zohran met privately for over an hour, and the press conference was in the Oval after the meeting. And you could just tell on Trump's face that the meeting could not have gone better, right? He was literally glowing. There are memes of Trump looking at Zohran, in a way that I haven't seen him look at anyone. So we don't know what Zohran said, like, to be a fly on the wall in this meeting.
God.
But you're right.
Talking about waiting for a tell-all book.
Waiting for the tell-all. I want to know what's said in that meeting. And to your point, though, the preparation, right? Because even as Trump is glowing, there's questions around Zohran Mamdani. You've called Trump a fascist. Do you still think he's a fascist? And our guy, Donald Trump, saying, you can say yes.
You can say yes.
You can call me a fascist.
You can say yes. Get it, like the pose in front of the FDR, right?
Yes.
And like no one talked about this, and I don't really have the science to like back me up, right? But Donald Trump does have this incredible charisma and draw to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's in front of this FDR. He's giving the thumbs up. And for Zohran to like not, like, it is so deeply ingrained in human beings to mirror one another.
Mm-hmm.
How many people have we seen stand next to Donald Trump and then
they all do the thumbs up? Yeah.
They all just mirror him and they just collapse.
Great point.
In front of Donald Trump's center of gravity. And Zohran holding his position and just being like, nope, like I'm not being tugged into your orbit was such a important sort of like non-verbal signal of power in a way that I think is really, really interesting.
Well, and in the press conference itself, you've also seen everyone just glaze Trump the entire time.
Totally.
Zohran didn't.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Trump also helped him in a number of different ways.
So many ways, yeah.
But Zohran held his ground. He came off looking incredible. On the heels of that meeting, Zohran is also doing something that no other New York City mayor is doing, which is he's raising public funds for his transition. He's already raised over $3 million for his transition. In comparison, in past years, Bloomberg personally spent money or got individual donations for his transition, including de Blasio. Zohran has already surpassed the amount of money that Bloomberg and de Blasio raised from private donations.
And by that, we mean like corporations and business execs who are going to immediately have business in front of the city.
Exactly. And so, again, Zohran just win after win after win. Shortly after that, though, Twigg, speaking of chronology, our girl MTG.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Perhaps upset at how much Trump loved Zohran, resigns.
Well, and upset over how much Trump loved Zohran, but also having made $30 million on stock trades.
This too.
Just like MTG doing something I wish more rich people would demonstrate, which is like deciding that enough is enough.
Enough is enough. I'm
like
good.
30 million's great. That's more than enough for me to live like a god in Florida.
She has, I think folks have watched her evolution, I guess we can call it, of breaking with MAGA, breaking with Trump, and coming out against MAGA and Trump, especially around things that we've talked a lot about, which is healthcare, the big beautiful bill, the Epstein list. Like, it kept going and going, and then surprise, surprise, MTG is out. And so the question just becomes, like, what does a Trumpless Republican Party look like? It will happen at some point. This guy's not going to live forever. I was intrigued by MTG because, in my opinion, it felt like she was positioning herself within the party as this foil for, you know, a good swath of Republican voters, independent voters, who are fucking pissed as shit because of the rising cost of living, the cuts to Medicaid. Like, there are very few champions for real working class voters in the Republican Party. Why is she doing this? I mean, to your point, maybe it's just like she can just make more money, have a bigger platform out of Congress. But anyway, what is your take on the MTG of it all? I'm so fascinated by it.
Yeah, I don't really know. I feel like she's making a calculated bet that, and this is all just speculation, but I think she's making a calculated bet that the best days of MAGA are behind it. And that if she's out now,
right,
she'll be able to take a principled stand if she wants to get back in. And she'll be like, look, before it got too bad, I was the person who said no more.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm back, I can bring all the good parts of MAGA for which I was a part and like reorient this movement to its first principles or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that presumes that there's this like meaningful collapse of the Trump base and the Trump support mechanism, and or that it cannot transfer to anyone he currently has.
I think that's the big thing
around him, right? Which JD Vance comes off as so elitist to me that I'd be shocked if he's able to kind of galvanize people in the way that Donald Trump is. I think Donald Trump is just a singular figure. I think that they recognize that, and that's why we're seeing such aggressive acquisition of media, because they'll be able to tell whatever story they want about whoever comes next, and there's only so much you can do to combat that. And so we'll see, but is this just MTG's running for president? Is that the move, you know? Maybe. I think if so, she's right to position herself as opposed to like the inheritor of Donald Trump, as like the truth teller within Donald Trump, because that's such an important pillar of MAGA-ville. Whereas whoever, JD or whoever is next, it's like they went along with all this bullshit, you know? But she also just might be done. Like,
I think she also could just be done.
You know, as she said herself, she's like, I am someone, like, this is not my whole life. Like, I am a mom. I have family. I have friends. I like have a life that exists without being harassed online by disingenuous political leaders and like the butt of jokes and in stunts. Like, I don't need to live that way. And so she's able to sort of tear herself away from the small screen and like look at her life. None of this is necessary. None of us need to do any of the things that we're doing.
Yeah. It's also good. It's like it's good television. Like, it's a good reality show, or even like a good scripted drama mid-episode decision. Do you know what I mean? Or mid-season decision. I feel like there is a certain art of like recognizing one way to get attention is to make moves like this and to keep making moves like this for attention. It's also crazy to me that this is a woman who, I mean, speaking of someone who has tried out for American Idol and who is like, we remember the vitriol and the hate. I mean, even recently, like this person, all of these people just want to be famous. I mean, it totally. Really just like
never forget.
It really comes down to, I mean, it devolves down to all the people that we are talking about.
Yeah.
Whether it's journalists, whether it's politicians, whether it's, we're going to get into pop culture. It's just like all of these people just want attention. All of these people just want fame.
Including Donald Trump. Like, he wanted to be a movie star.
Exactly. Well, Zohran as well. Like, Zohran, our guy, like rapper, actor, right? Like, all of these guys have just figured out ways, podcasters included. Ben Shapiro's a failed actor. Sam Cedar is a failed actor. Also on the left, right?
Yeah.
Like, Steven Crowder is a failed comedian. Right? Like, all of these people all just want to be famous.
Yeah.
And I think we just need to keep that in mind. Like, these are the people that we're talking about. We are a culture of that shit. So it doesn't surprise us that those are the people wanting to be powerful,
but it's not new. Like, Ronald Reagan was a failed actor by many.
Well, no, he wasn't failed. He was a successful actor.
He wasn't that successful. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't like...
He was in major motion pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But like... The Gipper wasn't like a true Hollywood. I mean, Nancy Reagan and Ronald Reagan were like, or in Hollywood, but they weren't like Marlon Brando.
No,
you know what I mean?
Like, they weren't like Ben Shapiro trying to get like an acting job in LA.
Yeah,
like there's a huge distinction. Like, Reagan was like a legit,
he was a
movie star. Yeah, he was a legit movie star.
But Jesse Ventura, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like. Volodymyr Zelensky, right? Like, this is a thing that
we need more of it. Honestly, like, that's if one of the takeaways is, if Zohran is any kind of template or anything that we can learn, where we're like, wow, where did this come from? This like incredible ability to seem genuine and like connect and like make content and like actually like connect with the American people, knowing that he's from the entertainment business.
Yeah.
Like, more people, like, get in there. I don't know. Jon Stewart, get in there. Like, we should just have more people who have that innate skill to enter the world of politics.
Totally. And certainly in specific offices, right? There's over 500,000 elected officials in the United States. True. They're not all going to be camera ready, nor do they need to be. We actually do need a lot of really, really dry, boring people to help run 100%. The administrative state of municipalities and states and the federal government. And if everyone's just like jockeying for their shot with a ring light in the Capitol building, like, it's going to be worse than it's hard to imagine it could be worse, but like, it will be worse. And it's so funny because do you remember in 2008, like, one of the most successful hit ads against Senator Obama, but was that he's a celebrity.
Yeah.
And
I don't know that it was successful though.
Well, it was one of the most dominant.
One of the most talked about.
One of the most talked about. I mean, successful in that it broke through. People were talking about it. It was not successful enough to make him lose.
Well, they called him Paris Hilton.
Exactly.
Yeah, they compared Obama to Paris Hilton.
Exactly. You know? And so look at where we are now. Yeah. But it's a fascinating, I think you're exactly right. Like, if you are not able to communicate and break through in the mediums that we are in and that dominate how people gather information, then you're going to have a really, really difficult time. But this, again, isn't new. Kennedy won the debates because it was TV versus radio. This is not a new phenomena. and people kind of scurrying to figure out media have not been paying attention to their political history, because this is just how it goes. FDR, the fireside chat, revolutionized political comms. Right. So people who are now thinking that what they need to do is like a TikTok dance don't understand how.
Unless you're really good at TikTok dances, you know, unless you can own it. You know?
Right. But even like, even like TikTok direct to camera appeals for information, right? Unless you're really good at that, unless that's a format that you can articulate and carry really well and keep up really well, it's not going to work in the same way as it would for somebody else, right?
Agreed.
And so like we need to be training our candidates to figure out how media can how media can conform to them, not how they can conform to media. Otherwise, we're going to have what we have now, which is like people like the worst instincts of algo baiting.
Yeah.
Dominating political discourse.
Speaking of, it's open primary season, y'all. This is the moment where everyone and their mother are announcing their candidacies. The Democratic primaries are right around the corner, and a number of high profile seats are open, fully open. And speaking of the kind of like talking to the masses influencer, I feel like we start with Jerry Nadler's seat in New York City, where we have two influencers. And I don't think that they would be. Do you think that Jack and Cameron would be upset with me calling them influencers? Maybe that's the first question. Right? Because they are literal influencers.
Yeah.
That's like what they do for a living, I think. Right? They both have like podcasts. They both talk to the camera a lot. Very interesting race. There's also another person, Matthew Shurka, who is a leader in conversion therapy. We made a video campaign.
Against, to be clear.
He loves conversion therapy. No.
Funny.
He is a leader against conversion therapy. And my company, Enfranchisement, did a campaign with Matthew a few years ago about all of the legislation that Matthew led in stopping conversion therapy centers across the country. Matthew is also in this race. It's been a really interesting thing watching this campaign unfold, because it's a daily deluge of content.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun because I feel like this is kind of the first influencer on influencer race where you could sort of see what they're each trying to do. They're going after the same demographic here. They're also taking so many pages out of Zohran's campaign, right? Stylistically, and just they saw, you and I talked about the amount of content that Zohran was putting out. So Jack and Cameron, every day, they're putting out content.
Oh, yeah.
Every single day they're putting out content.
You must.
And anyway, I'm just fascinated by it. I'm curious how this shakes out. We've also seen versions of this in New York City, where I'm reminded of Andrew Yang, who's very popular on Twitter, running and getting like 2% of the vote, right? So just because you're popular on a social media platform does not necessarily translate into votes.
100%. Right? I mean, that's the real brilliance of Zohran's campaign, was like the actual online, offline of it all.
Exactly.
Which Democrats have been attempting and failing for a generation, but how to actually merge the two. I mean, that was a masterclass in it. I mean, my big question around content in races of this kind is like, at what point, is there a saturation point?
Yep.
To where we immediately then go back to like, oh, but I want to meet you in person. Like, that's one of the brilliant, like, Zohran was in the street.
100%.
Like, yes, you could watch great content about the dude, but you could also like probably meet him.
Yeah.
You know, like,
if you wanted to, yeah.
In the street.
Yeah.
And so there are, I think that there's going to be, I think we're going to have a lot of candidates that over-index on content alone.
Yep.
And not necessarily like new and interesting content.
Yeah.
As much as there was a repetition and a style and a point of view to Zohran's content, it was like episodic.
Yeah.
Like, it was fresh and new. There were new ideas. Even if he was talking about the same issues, there was a it was like there was familiarity without necessarily repetition.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which is the facet we love most in TV shows or in film franchises.
Yep.
And so, how people are able to tell a full story and complete story through their content is going to be really interesting, and whether or not these influencers are able to pull that off. Because at some point you're going to be tired of watching.
I'm already kind of tired. I'm not tired. Well, what I'm not tired of is like seeing, like comparing it. Like,
right.
It's different, right? Like most congressional races, the only glimpses into a campaign and the success of a campaign are fundraising numbers that are released quarterly, or fundraising milestones that are reported out in press releases, and or ads.
Yeah.
Right, on television or on digital. Those are the only markers, right? If we're like Stephen A. Smith or Max Kellerman, we're like, here's how this race is going. We don't have much to look at. It's like poll numbers, fundraising dollars, and the actual content, which has typically been ads. Those are the three things. And now with this campaign, there's content every day. And to your point, like, what I've not yet seen is the offline online. Yep. Like, and that's the part where Zohran was so very good at, which was to say a lot of his content was about knocking doors. A lot of his content was about his volunteers. It was about the community. And these guys, as much as they are very popular online, like Jack Schlossberg has like millions of followers, right? But how many of those millions of followers are
in the district,
registered to vote in his district? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's the key here. And so,
or they just like you watching from DC,
exactly,
totally unable to vote for him.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it may lead to fundraising dollars, but I'm curious how this all plays out. It's been really exciting to watch in real time. The other exciting thing to watch in real time is our girl Jasmine Crockett, fresh off the presses here, Carrie Twigg.
Should we release the supercut of us just saying Jasmine Crockett over and over and over and over and over again?
That should be her campaign launch video.
Like, Jasmine Crockett, Jasmine Crockett. I love Jasmine Crockett.
Our girl Jasmine Crockett. News leaked a couple of days ago that the filing deadline for the Texas Senate race is, I believe, 48 hours away. And our girl Jasmine Crockett is about to jump into the Texas Senate race. It's very, very exciting. Simultaneously, Colin Allred, who is the presumed frontrunner before James Tallarico jumped into the race, has stepped away from the campaign to run for Congress, which is a very interesting development. How are you feeling about our girl Jasmine? I think this is going to be great. Look, regardless of whether she wins the primary or the general, I think just having Jasmine out there, speaking of a campaign, we now get to see Jasmine have a pretty national profile race. We get to see her in all of her unadulterated glory on the internets. How do you think this is all going to play out?
Yeah, so I would be so excited to watch that if it weren't pitting her against one of the other rising stars of the party.
I know.
And so if she is able to use that platform and do the things that we love and admire Jasmine Crockett for without bloodying up James Tallarico too much, then I think it's a great thing for the party. And I think it's a great thing for her and for the future of Texas. But I think it's actually quite, I think it's really tricky because James Tallarico is someone who's really exciting and who's breaking through, and I think represents a type of Democratic leader that we haven't seen gain prominence in a long time. I think one of the strategic errors that the Democratic Party has made over the course of the last 50 years has been allowing no space for religiosity, right?
Yes.
As opposed to in a country that 65% of it identifies as Christian.
Yeah.
And actively so, to not have a liberal sort of gospel oriented wing of our party, to not have, I would say the same thing. I was back in the day before she sort of red pilled herself or whatever the expression is, Tulsi, like I wanted peace candidates. Like we used to have a robust peace wing of the party. There's all sorts of Marianne Williamson brought up every single thing that RFK brought up, right? She was bringing up liberal gospel. She was bringing up peace. She was bringing up wellness, make America healthy again.
Yeah.
Like we have systematically kicked those people out of the party and laughed them out of the room and shunned them away from the party until our win number is so, or our coalition or our big tent is so narrow that we look like the Republicans did pre-Obama.
Yeah.
And so that has been a strategic mistake over the course of 20, 30, 50 years. So I'm really excited to see someone like a James Tallarico be a leader within the party and a robust sort of representative of the way that people can be, reasons why people can be Democrats.
Yeah.
And so to have him pitted against one of my other favorite sort of avatars for the future, and Jasmine Crockett, I think is actually really kind of stressful to me as a personal consideration and like my concern around the culture of being a Democrat. And I think hopefully doesn't turn out to be a massive strategy mistake or, massive strategic oversight or failure. This all seems a little bit cooked to me. So
does seem cooked.
So we'll see, but
I'm disappointed. I love Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed because I do think that, well, look, there's a couple things that need to be said. One, Tallarico definitely upset a lot of people in Texas by running.
And by a lot of people, we mean party insiders.
Yes, exactly. I think that there were a lot of people who sort of anointed Colin Allred as someone who can win in Texas for whatever reason, the belief that he can win. And I think, to your point, I think James has been a breath of fresh air for the party. He's been a breath of fresh air, particularly for young people. And yeah, I'm bummed about it. I'm bummed that those two have to go against each other, especially knowing it's so hard for a Democrat to win statewide in Texas already. And it feels not great. I mean, I love Jasmine. I think that for a Democratic primary, I think that she has a real clear pathway to victory. Statewide, I don't know. I don't know that Jasmine Crockett can win statewide. And to your point with Tallarico, I think that there seemed to be a path for him to win statewide. Anyway.
Yeah, and I'm generally pro primary.
Yeah.
Like I love a primary. I think there should always be a primary. I think all candidates should be primaried, particularly at the federal level. I'm also really desperate for a new generation of leadership to take over the party. And so to see two young stars is like actively painful and a total contrast to like how I feel about Maine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, moving on. I mean, who knows? To your point, maybe this is all additive, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe there exists a world where I don't see either of them going hard in the paint against each other. I think both of them are doing really important things and reaching different communities at the same time. And so I think it could be all positive.
Yeah. And I hope that it is.
Yeah.
And like, what's that saying? Like steel strengthens steel or whatever. Yeah. Like, hopefully that's what happens. Hopefully it's ebony and ivory out there. And they're just like getting Texas to like.
Well, we need to reach everyone, right? And that's the
totally.
piece. I think that's the piece. So yeah, we love you guys both. We should have them both on the pod at the same time. Not a debate, just like we can all just be like drinking buddies and we can all
wear cowboy hats.
We can all wear cowboy hats, exactly. Texas is not the only state where there's some provocative open primary situations going. The great state of California has had two new entrants. Eric Swalwell. Speaking of someone trying to get on TikTok, that guy's really going for it. He's doing a lot of things on the internet. And my guy, Tom Steyer, the billionaire with a heart
of gold.
That's going to be my brand for Tom Steyer. The billionaire with a heart of gold. The good billionaire. Are there good billionaires?
Well, that's a different podcast.
Maybe not. Maybe we should have Tom on. That should be the first question.
I don't know.
Should there be billionaires, Tom? First question for you. Curious how you would answer that question.
I actually do feel differently about how people make their money.
Yeah.
Like that does color. And it's like, I have you should be able to make as much money as you want. You shouldn't be able to keep it.
Yeah. Well, he's spending it. That's for sure.
Totally. It's
he's giving it away and spending
I have absolutely no problem with you making $1 trillion.
Yeah.
You just shouldn't be able to keep all of it.
100%. These are two new entrants because our girl, Katie Porter, kind of...
She's not my girl.
We all like Katie Porter. We love those whiteboards. Come on.
Yeah,
we love Katie Porter. Right. Our girl, Katie Porter, kind of ate it in a surprising way. I mean, media still matters. People think that this shit doesn't matter. It matters. She had a string of bad media appearances. She's had weird videos come out. And her poll numbers tanked. And so people got off the sidelines, jumped into the fray in California. It's a wide open race right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how that race unfolds.
I don't think that it is. I think that anyone who had the videos come out of being disagreeable that Katie Porter did would suffer in the polls. I don't
know. Do we think if it was a guy, this is the other thing.
I think she is doubly punished because she's a woman.
Yes.
And I don't think people would have liked seeing that from a man.
Yeah.
I think it would have felt differently. I think we would have metabolized it differently because we've been trained to metabolize it differently. Whereas we saw Katie do it and you're just like, monster.
Yeah.
You know, like she came off as such a monster and so unlikable.
Yeah.
And I've lost my temper with people. I've gotten annoyed with people. I've been... I've also been a staffer that's been yelled at. Yeah. Right. And
same.
As discussed, Kathy Rumler. But like I've been yelled at, screamed at by, many elected officials, particularly in Ohio, who are otherwise very popular. And you're just, it happens. It's a stressful job, blah, 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 blah. But like, you can't behave that way.
The question for me, it didn't seem like Katie acknowledged it really. There's no real strategy. Like she just is hoping that people forget it.
Totally.
Right? Like I think that, I don't know if we even talked about it, but I felt like there's definitely like the difference between Graham Plattner, for instance, in Maine, who had some shit come out about him and he addressed it the next day. And in fact, he used some shit that came out about him and actually his poll numbers have gone up since then.
Yeah.
Right? Like his donations have gone up. He actually used this kind of like fuck up, I guess we can call it a fuck up, and use it to bring more people in. Whereas Katie has done the opposite. Like the fuck up happened and then she's just pretending like, oh, well, that's not important. Hasn't addressed it, and she's being punished for it in the polls. People have seen that side of her, and they're just kind of like, well, we don't really know who we want, but we know we don't want her, you know?
Well, I think this goes to the limits of like the collapse of the information cycle, right? Yep. It's not just 24-hour news cycle. It's just like there are things that are forgotten instantly.
Yes. But that is not, but people haven't forgotten that though.
Right. So if the strategy has been like, people will forget.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not really how it works. The difference between her and Graham is like, she's attacking individuals who are also on camera.
Yes.
Right.
So and like young people too.
Yes. People who work for her.
Yeah.
Who supposedly believe in her and are trying to help her.
Not great.
And she is treating them like shit on video. Same with this reporter. Like this reporter's just doing her job. And it's a tried and true, like we saw this with Blake Lively, Lively being rude to a reporter.
Right.
Like people do not like that.
People don't like it.
People do not like watching other people be rude. It's like incredibly unseemly. Grant Plattner saying dumb, whereas we've all said dumb shit. Like we've all said stupid things in private, or we've all not understood something and asked an inelegant question.
Yeah.
And so that is incredibly relatable. Whereas, like I just said, we've all also been yelled at by a boss or by a parent or by a teacher. We've all been humiliated, and we hate watching that happen to somebody. And we hate the person who did it.
Yeah.
And so if Katie's strategy, and I haven't followed this all that closely, but it's like if Katie's strategy is just like hoping people forget about it or not addressing it, like she's misunderstanding the way that particular piece of video exists in a broader ecosystem.
Yeah.
Where people hate to watch that.
Yeah.
And so if she has not apologized, if she has not like shot videos with the staffer from the back to just be like, oh my God, that's not reflective of what it's actually like to work with Katie. That was a terrible day. I think we've all been there.
Right.
Whatever.
And that could have been really great content. Like, that's the thing.
Totally.
Like, how great would that have been? Right. Like, this is the thing about the internet, right? Is speaking about being shameless and speaking about just like stepping into the moment. That could have been a moment for Katie Porter.
She probably can't do it because she probably doesn't. The staffer
she probably doesn't
can't
have
pull
people
it off.
who don't want to be on video with her saying that she's great.
Right?
Yeah.
And like the guy in Virginia, the attorney general candidate in Virginia who lost, right? Mm-hmm. Even though Spanberger like has this historic, damn near landslide of a win, you know, he gets caught reaming, like sending psychotic text messages.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like all of law enforcement turned against him as well. But like, you can't talk to people that way.
Yeah, it's true.
Again, this goes back to the Donald Trump of it all that we were saying. Donald Trump is apparently incredibly polite.
Yeah.
And incredibly charming when you're with him in person.
Yeah, I was except if you're a reporter, right? Speaking of reporters, and he calls them Miss Piggy and, you know, reams them out. But like that is also a tactic from his perspective of like attacking a profession that people already have a very low trust and estimation for.
100%.
Like, it's a very easy target for him to belittle, like, the news reporters, right?
Well, and he has so occupied the, like, persecuted victim, persecuted patriot archetype.
Yeah.
That he's like, they attacked me first.
Right.
That reporter asked me a question that was so rude and disrespectful that they would never ask anyone else. Whether that's true or not, that changes things.
All right, Carrie Twigg, our episode would not be complete without digging into the Hollywood side of things.
Oh my God, it's been so much news.
Incredible stuff. A little bit, speaking of surprises, did not expect this. I know that Netflix has been lurking for all of these potential partners and acquisitions and mergers, but walk us through. Well,
they hadn't been, right? Netflix had long maintained that they were not they were not a company that was interested in acquisitions. And so I think it speaks to the value of Warner Brothers that they would even consider it.
Right. Walk us through it. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah. So Warner Brothers and Discovery merged a handful of years ago. It's been like this phenomenal failure and loss of value overseen by the CEO, David Zaslav. And so they've been putting their assets up for sale. And so they have linear channels like CNN and channels that are on your TV. And then they have streaming properties. And then they have the Warner Brothers movie studio, and which owns things like HBO and HBO Max and all these things. And so they've been putting them up for sale. There were three main bidders: Comcast, Paramount, and Skydance Paramount, I should say, and Netflix. And the belief was that Skydance Paramount was the most likely company to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery because Skydance just bought Paramount, just closed that deal earlier this year, a few months ago. It is backed by Larry Ellison, who is one of the richest men in the world. Just kind of switches between him and Elon for like the number one, number two. And he's incredibly close to the Trumps. And so this represents, a potential monopolistic merger. And so Netflix was sort of the second place candidate for the likely acquisition. Both Comcast, Netflix, and Skydance Paramount submitted bids. Comcast was sort of out of the running, both because of its debt load, its ability to offer cash, and the assumption that it wouldn't get approved by Donald Trump's SEC because Comcast is considered like a liberal-owned company.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's happened over the course of the last couple days, news that's broken over the last couple days, is that Netflix's Ted Sarandos, the co-CEO, met with Donald Trump in November and basically smoothed the way for FCC approval of the number one streamer and the number two streamer, not counting YouTube, merging into one, which represents a monopoly. Like, this is actually going to be very, very challenging in the industry.
Yeah.
And Skydance Paramount, assuming that they had Donald Trump's favor and would be the only entity that could get it past the FCC, bid less than Netflix. Warner Brothers accepted Netflix's offer, and they are going to proceed forward. Now, there's a bunch of scuttlebutt that this won't get approved by the FCC, that Larry Ellison is going to put his hand on the scale and convince Donald Trump to put his hand on the scale with the FCC and not approve it.
Yep.
That Netflix's interest was basically to tie Warner Brothers up in a holding pattern, because they're not going to acquire new shows, they're not going to make big bets, they're not going to make strategic investments when they're trying to get through this acquisition process, when you have to go through all the books with a fine-tooth comb, you have to figure out all your debt, you have to organize everything. And so basically Netflix is trying, there is a theory that Netflix is just trying to freeze their number two competitor while they are punching up and trying to compete with YouTube, so keeping HBO and all the Warner Brothers properties off their heels. I mean, the big question is going to be if Trump's FCC will approve this merger, which we won't know for a while unless Donald Trump signals soon one way or the other. Either way, it's pretty bad for the industry. A lot of the consolidation overall has been bad for the traditional Hollywood ecosystem. So much creation and content has been moving independent anyway over the course of the last several years, including my company, because this consolidation has been wreaking havoc for years between the strikes and then these consolidations. If you don't have a meaningful pathway towards independent production and distribution, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself unless you're venture backed.
Yeah.
And even then, you're not going to make your investors back any of their money. And so, time will tell whether or not this actually holds and doesn't ultimately go to Skydance Paramount, which would be kind of disastrous for democracy. Having Skydance Paramount and Warner Brothers, all these massive franchises, all these legacy brands in the hands of Trump-aligned Ellisons would be really, really tricky.
So you're
but not impossible.
So politically, this is a really great way of thinking of it, because I have not been thinking of it. We know Ted Sarandos. Well, we know of Ted Sarandos. I don't text Ted on the daily.
No, we don't text.
But Netflix was very friendly to the Obamas in the Obama era, and we had a number of folks. I believe Ted's wife was an ambassador and was in meetings in OPE. But they always have been very friendly to the Obamas and Democrats in general. I think Ted hosts a lot of Democratic candidates and has been largely progressive. You see this as positive for democracy, the Netflix WB partnership.
I don't know if I would call it positive. I would call it neutral.
Neutral. Okay.
Right? Whereas I think Skydance Paramount owning WDB, Warner Brothers is negative for democracy.
Agreed.
I don't think Ted thinks about Netflix as a democratic institution.
Sure.
And nor should he necessarily, right? But I absolutely think that the Ellisons, and don't get me wrong, David Ellison is a hell of a filmmaker.
Sure.
He has long been engaged, invested in movies. He's made some of my favorite movies along with his filmmaking teams. There's a genuine love for entertainment content. I'm not saying that that's not true. But what's also true is that they understand the power of narrative to be a vehicle for governments.
Sure.
And they are wielding that power on behalf of Donald Trump.
Yeah. Fascinating. So timeline, do we know? What? I know that they're in exclusive negotiations now. And then, so this probably all comes to a close in our reality show that is Democracy at the end of Trump's term, probably. All of this shakes out with regards to whether it's approved or not.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Right around the time that his ballroom is complete, by the way. We're keeping the chronology intact.
For premieres.
For premieres.
I mean, unless something radical happens and the FCC is just like, unless Brendan Carr is like, no.
Yeah,
we're not going to do that.
Right.
We're actually giving this to our buddy Larry. I mean, who knows? There could be a lot of fireworks.
Yeah.
We know that Donald Trump is fickle.
Sure.
Right. And so whatever assurances he gave Ted in November, who knows if they hold.
Yeah.
Right. And who knows what compromises had to be extracted in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
And so whether or not there's going to be an appetite for those in 6 months. I mean, there's so many wild cards at play. We'll see. But overall, as the owner of a production company and the maker of television shows, I'm not wild about the overall sort of M&A that's happening. As someone who wants to live in a democracy with a free information ecosystem, not the worst case scenario.
Yeah, neutral is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
The response to it online is so fascinating because you have the sort of like film nerds that are freaking out because they believe that this is like the end of physical media, right? Because
they're maybe not wrong. Like Netflix has been very anti-movie theaters, and exactly. I love the movies. I go to the movies probably once a week.
Yeah.
Like I think we should all there's so many things that are designed to be, they are made to be watched on a big screen and to be more of an immersive experience and not to be watched at your house with your phone in your hand while you're folding laundry. Like you're watching someone's like kind of legendary art. I went and saw Hamnet a couple days ago and it was extraordinary. You know, Chloe Zhao is such a hell of a filmmaker.
Great. Yeah.
And to see it on a big screen is incredible.
Yeah.
And so taking that away, I think would be so bad.
Yeah.
So I think my colleagues and like friends in the filmmaking industry are not wrong to consider this a net negative for the filmmaking industry.
Yeah. We shall see. For those of you who are not yet subscribed to Twigg and Jenkins on Spotify or YouTube or all of the things, please do. Twigg and I will be back at it. We're back in the saddle. Twigg is in town for the rest of the month.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, man.
So we're gonna be coming at you, and yeah, we love you guys. We miss you guys. Also, this just coincidentally, a number of friends, I think because of the Spotify Wrapped, lots of text messages from friends and loved ones about Twigg and Jenkins these past couple of weeks.
That's so cute.
So send us
a screenshot.
Send us your Spotify Wrapped. Send us your shots of yourselves in our merch. We got to do a new merch drop. We've talked about a new merch drop
for ages.
For so long, but we're going to actually do it. And keep listening, y'all. Thank you so much for your support. This pod was produced by
Elizabeth Joy Wyndham, Erica Anderson, and is a joint production of Culture House Media and Enfranchisement. Thank you to Ray. Thank you to Nicole. Thank you to Erica and Elizabeth. And
Elon.
And Elon.
Not Elon Musk. Elon you.
Yeah.
It's not that Elon.
Musk.
Different Elon.
Bye.
Peace.